In this tutorial I'm going to show you how I create a basic web statistics program which generates statistics and records them in a database. This will be using PHP and mySQL. So first of all you need a web host. For this I'm just using localhost. So I've created a database which is in stats. Now I've created a table called stats within the stats database. This basically holds all the information in these columns. So I've got a column for IP, date, hits, online and page. And this will store all the stats from the page. So if you have 10 stats per day, it will store 10 stats for that date. And so on. So if I go to the config file, this basically connects these files to the database. So this is the most important piece of this script. So it basically connects it to the localhost, which is using XAMPP. This is username for the database, and this is password for the database. And selects a stats table from the database. Function _IP basically gets all the IP addresses from everybody that's visited your site and puts it into that database, and returns it to that variable $IP. So below I've got $IP equals the function _IP. So I've called the function _IP. It gets a time, so it sets the date from your computer clock. So you don't need to bother with any functions using that. It just basically gets your computer date. So we've got a hit.php. This is a file that collects all the scripts. So it requires the config file, so basically includes that config file which I explained before. So it gets the $page, which equals the IP addresses. So when that page is loaded, it gets the IP addresses and puts it to that database. So I've used a variable called getStats, which runs a MySQL query and selects it from the stats table which we created before. It gets the IP address from the IP table, from the date table and the time, and selects them and puts them into the database table of stats. If not, it updates the stats and sets the hits to hits +1. So if you've already viewed my website, then obviously it'll add that hits +1, so it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. So in here I've created a variable for diff, which equals the time. So if it equals to 500, that means it shows the user past 5 minutes. I could change this to be 7 minutes if I wanted to, and that will basically show all the past users online from the past 7 minutes. This can be useful, so if you want to view how many people have viewed your website in the past hour, you can change that to the minutes in hours. So this uses a variable for count online. So it selects the stats from the online table, from the stats table from the online column. This basically selects the users online. So if the MySQL num rows for count online equals 0, it echoes out there is currently no one online. Else, if you fetch array, which basically fetches everything from that variable, it echoes out user IP address is currently viewing the user page. This page is viewing online equals 1. So if you have more than one, it will also be 2, 3, 4 and so on. This can be useful if you have a big company and you want to see who's viewing your website right now. So if you're all over the world, there's going to be thousands of people viewing your website. You could use that function to view how many people are viewing it right now. So if you have 1,000 people viewing your website, it will display 1,000. So basically it selects the hits, it selects it from the IP column, from the stats table, from the date. Basically selects the stats from today as if it's unique. So basically it counts the unique variables from today. So it counts, as you can see, I've created variables for different things. So I've created a variable for unique today, hits today, total hits and total hits count online and count online. So basically these do different things. So count hits basically counts the hits from the stats table and displays it to the screen. sorry, no, just it stores it in that total u hits variable. And count online basically selects the online users from IP, from the stats table, and from the online section, and basically stores that within count online, ready to put it into this bit here. So unique visitors today basically stops uniques today, uses the variable unique today, which is here. So it runs that query and outputs it to right next to unique visitors today. Does the same for hits today. So for hits today, you've used the variable hits today, so it echoes out the total hits of today. The total unique visitors, that echoes out the total unique visitors, which is stored in these variables right here, and so on and so on. So this is basically a tutorial for creating a statistics program.